welcome to Campus Kitchen. My name is Chef Sean Hall, and with me today I have got our assistant, Rachel DL. This month we'll be focusing on Italian gourmet, and we'll be featuring classic little dishes. We're going to do a quattro stagioni pizza, which is a 4 seasons pizza with 4 lovely ingredients on it, and we'll be following that with a roasted Mediterranean vegetable risotto. For the process, I've devised it into a few steps, a few quick easy steps which all of your readers can produce at home as well. Firstly, Rachel, if you want to start by making the pizza dough for us. So you get 500 grams of strong flour, 15 grams of yeast, 15 grams of sea salt. Okay, we also have 50 milliliters of olive oil, fresh water, which we'll measure off in a second. Okay, and then we can proceed. The secret to most breads that you want to make, you want to put enough effort into it and get some nice elasticity into your dough. So we're going to start the process just by mixing the flour with your salt. Okay, the yeast is best to dissolve the yeast with a little bit of water beforehand. It just starts the activation process as well. So you just want to dissolve, just break it up with your finger, get it in there. Okay, just roughly. Okay. This process, if you do not have a machine like this at home, this process can be done with your hands as well. You follow the same principle, okay, just by kneading it with hands. So as soon as the dough starts coming together and into a ball form, then put a timer on and then 10 minutes. Okay, while the dough is going, you're going to proceed with making a tomato sauce, which is the topping, the start of the toppings of the pizza. A little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar, garlic, and we have some dried herbs. And this we're going to cook out for about 45 minutes on the stove at very, very low heat to form a nice natural paste, and that's going to be the topping for the pizza. Especially in summertime now when the tomatoes are so ripe and nice and seasoned, it just gives a nice fresh flavor. You can also substitute it with tinned tomatoes, but then you have to increase your sugar level. If it's not enough sugar into it, you'll have a very, very tart pizza base. You need a little bit of sugar in it just to counteract that. There's roughly about 4 tomatoes. Okay, a good tablespoon of tomato puree goes inside, a little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar. Okay. When it reaches the end stages, we'll put some fresh herbs inside. Okay, and a little bit of olive oil just to bring it back together again. This has already been proved at room temperature, roughly an hour at room temperature, or if you want to make it the night before and put it in the fridge, it will prove overnight, double in size, and that's the consistency you want. The secret with any dough product that you do, nice and elastic, so it doesn't tear, and not too wet, but definitely not dry, otherwise it will not work. Okay, once again, for any bread product, get the strongest flour you can get. A T55 flour will be perfect. If that's not available, you can make it with plain flour as well. So we're just going to stretch the dough slightly, make a nice well. Okay, I'm going to take a nice spoonful, ladle it over the top, but spread it quite nicely right to the edges, into the edges. For the quattro stagioni pizza, we've prepared artichokes, mushrooms, black olives, and Parma ham, and that's going to be the topping for the pizza. If you want to go vegetarian, you can substitute the Parma ham with another ingredient. Tomato, for me, or green peppers work quite well with this pizza as well. And once again, the mozzarella cheese, you can substitute it with a nice cheddar. Just be careful with cheddar, it becomes very, very salty once it's cooked off. Once again, be creative with the pizzas. You know, Parma ham is quite expensive, but you can also use an inexpensive cut. You know, normal handy roasted ham will work really nicely as well, or prosciutto. But for us, Parma ham is quite nice for this pizza, and it presents a nice salty flavor, which will counteract the nice sweetness of the mozzarella cheese. Okay, just a little bit of pepper. Okay, Rachel, if you want to proceed to the pizza oven and put it on roughly about, for a size, that size, about 20 minutes. 20 minutes, and the longer you cook it, of course, the more crispy. But once again, not for the full 20 minutes. Have a look at it after 15. Turn the tray as what you need it, and then proceed again to finish the dish off. So the pizza's in. Next step is Rachel's going to prepare the base for the risotto. Mediterranean vegetables, once again, risotto is an extremely versatile dish. You can incorporate a lot of flavors in there, a lot of items in there, a lot of commodities. For this one, we're going to keep it vegetarian, but we're going to do nicely sweet roasted peppers with it, risotto, and we're going to finish it off with Parmesan cheese and truffle oil, which will be quite nice. We're first going to do the onion base, the onions, garlic, and risotto, and we're going to cook that off. While that's going on the stove, Rachel will prepare the vegetables for that and grill it underneath the grill, which will finish off the risotto for us. And what Rachel's doing, she's halved the onion, she's slicing it down that way first, and she's going to go across, keeping her fingers out of the way, and just drawing the knife straight down, and that way it will be nicely finely diced, called brunoise. Okay. We're going to get a pan on the heat, a nice saucepan. We're doing roughly for about 4 portions, which is about 2 cups worth of risotto, which will give you plenty for a main course portion. And while the base is cooking, the foundation of the risotto, Rachel will then cook the peppers off. Starting the risotto, the frying technique is called sweating, and it has been slowly cooking an item without giving it color. You don't want any brown speckles of onion going through your nice vibrant white risotto, so you're going to try and keep it as light as possible. So Rachel's just going to sweat off the onions till they're cooked, which will release the sweetness of them, because if you're going to put it in raw, it's going to go very, very bitter. And when at that stage, she'll incorporate the rice into it. Because the risotto is a vegetarian one, we've prepared a vegetarian stock for it. All the vegetables that we use and all the peelings, we make a stock from that every day, and that's called a vegetable nage, and that will be the base for us. And do you want to get that in, Rachel? Once your rice goes in, just mix it around, get it nicely coated with the olive oil. Once again, I don't want to obtain too much color on it. Okay, and this process of adding wine to a hot pot mold, it's called deglazing. That's it. Okay. Very important at this stage to make sure that you cook all the wine out. Once again, it's just to enhance the flavor. All right, so after the wine has reduced down, to intensify the flavor, Rachel's going to proceed with adding vegetable stock into the rice, incorporating that flavor and letting the rice cook slowly. Not overcooked, not soggy, soft. You still want a bit of the crunch in the rice, but of course not raw. So that's why I always use the reduction of 3 times with the stock in it as our barometer. So that's reduced down now, Rachel. So if you want to add your stock into that, just to cover the rice. And once again, just enough stock to cover your rice. Perfect, that's it. And now we will reduce it 3 times, okay? Yeah, keep on stirring it. Put some nice air and release those glutens in there. Okay. This process in the restaurants, when we're cooking for for our customers and our guests for functions, this process we'll do a little bit beforehand, so that the finishing off process for the customer will be much faster, and that way the students can do it to order, to the amount that we require. All right. Get some more stock in there, Rachel. Okay. As we can clearly see now as well, the rice is absorbing all that stock, getting some nice flavor into it, and also swelling and multiplying in size. As you can see now, the risotto is becoming nice and creamy on its own. It's just releasing itself nicely. Not too tough. Rice is perfect. The grains are still holding itself. And we have also the finished product here. Rachel have been cutting up for us peppers, a bit of mushrooms, a bit of red onion, and just a bit of olive oil over the top. A squeeze of lemon juice. There's a bit of dried herbs through it. Peppers, a bit of mushrooms, a bit of red onion. But once again, these ingredients you can add whatever flavor you want to achieve. Your vegetables goes inside. At this stage you need to hurry a little bit. You want your risotto to overcook. Okay. Incorporate that nicely into it, get all that flavors in. A little bit of butter inside just to finish it off. Fresh herbs. Parmesan cheese adds to the flavor and the texture of the risotto. This stage is ready now. The consistency, you don't want stodgy rice, you don't want overcooked rice, and you don't want it, just want it nice and loose, and that's the consistency you want. And now we can proceed to plate up. After the guests have sat down and they've had their starters, there's a 15-minute break which they take in between, so the students know they've got 15 minutes to prepare that main course perfectly, so it gets cooked to order. So we'll take this as the 15 minutes, and Rachel is ready to plate it. We're just garnishing it off with the ingredients that's inside your risotto, just to show it off a bit. That's what you use inside, just on top. Perfect. A little bit of Parmesan cheese to sprinkle it over, more flavor. That's it. Voila. Roasted Mediterranean vegetable risotto, done. 20 minutes later and the Quattro Stagioni pizza is ready for consumption. Rachel's very happy with the product. Perfectly caramelized, exactly the consistency you wanted. A pizza like this for a family of 3 or 4, more than enough. What we also do in the bistro, we normally serve a nice bit of roasted chips with it. Also do a nice salad. So what Rachel's going to do now is just cut the pizza into 2 nice wedges and present it like we would do in the bistro and like it will be for the Italian gourmet event. And that concludes campus cookery for the Italian gourmet event.